Yes, yes, yes. I knew what that sound means. Time in the paddock F1. Greeny and the cheese. Round 6 of the 2025 F1 season. We are back in the States. That's right, for the first of 3 stops. We're in South Beach, baby, for the Miami Grand Prix. And while you're down there in Miami, you got to hit South Beach. The glitz, the glam. Those, those white beaches. It's a good time. Get hit Ocean Drive for the Art Deco hotels, restaurants, bars, and of course the nightclubs. Get out there and shake your moneymaker, Michael.
Got to shake that money
No, no
maker.
response.
South Beach,
No
baby.
response.
South Beach, baby.
Oh, maybe you want to stop in Little Havana, get some of them crazy good Cuban eats, or maybe a little stroll down the Riverwalk. But this ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing 16 miles from the beach in a parking lot that they call the Miami International Autodromo.
International.
International. International Autodrome, even though it's around a parking lot around the stadium. I don't get that crap still. We're 3.36 miles, 19 corners, 3 DRS zones, even the full beams for 55% of your lap. And oh, we got a race. We got a little race in the first corner with Max and Lando battling. As Lando drops spots from being squeezed by Max, but Oscar showing that he is mature, patient, passes Max. As Max battled Lando to follow, Oscar was gone. Take his 4th win of the season, his 3rd in a row. Let's throw them hats because he's got a hat trick. Lando takes 2nd for the McLaren 1-2. Russell finishes out the podium. And of course, it is May the 4th, boys and girls. So may the 4th be with you. We are caffeinated. We are medicated. Greeny, good afternoon, sir.
Happy Star Wars Day. You got the shirt on. You came correct to the party, sir. You for sure came correct to this party.
Star Wars Day, baby.
It is absolutely International Star Wars Day. And of course, it is International Let's Go to Miami and Race Outdoors. Listen, the 2 dumbest things in sports, okay, are F1 sprint races, possibly, as we saw yesterday, and outdoor sporting events in Florida. This should be outlawed. You shouldn't have any outdoor sporting events in Florida. We've been there. So lucky, I guess, depending on how you look at it, but that rain coming in just went north. There's a reason why every single stadium, those who are not from the U.S. or familiar with Florida in general, every stadium in Florida has a roof. All right, they all do. Mm-hmm. Baseball, obviously basketball, of course, does, and hockey, but everything's roofed because you wouldn't play otherwise. When the Florida Marlins played in that stadium, in that parking lot, which I've been to, it was either 115 degrees, right, or 40-something Celsius out there, or it rained. And they had the most rain delays of any team ever in the history of baseball. And there's a reason they have a dome. So obviously you can't have a domed F1 stadium, maybe not yet. But it is ridiculous. We're lucky we got the race in full. Obviously the weekend was a little bit rainy in and out as well. That caused some major issues. And the track started pretty slick because it did rain earlier in the day. Mm-hmm. So was definitely a ridiculously late start as we're coming here just a couple hours after the race ended. And of course, thanks to everyone checking in on the YouTube. Keep checking in. Keep subscribing if you haven't done so already. We got a lot more stuff coming your way from that. Some new programming we're working on, which could take over the internet, sir. So I'm learning Italian. That's all you got to know. Okay, so it's going to be a good time. And congratulations to Zach Brown and everything he's been doing over there at McLaren. Obviously, congratulations to Oscar Piastri, but they are taking over F1. And Zach Brown, especially here in the U.S., has gotten a lot of press this weekend. He was in a lot a lot of the U.S. sport world, which crossed over into the non-motorsport U.S. sporting market. And a lot of people have been reaching out to me who are not F1 fans, who have been hearing Zach Brown on radio and TV over the weekend, really promoting this race and Formula One in the U.S., obviously with McLaren being where they're at. But geez, is McLaren now the team to beat? Obviously, it's looking like that's where we are. And obviously, as Las Vegas has finally updated their futures for the year, negative 120. That's where we stand with Oscar Piastri for the Drivers' Championship. He's finally gone negative 120. I think Max Verstappen's plus 400, down from plus 600 to start the season. So Max has gone a little higher on the betting circle there. And I think Lando Norris now stands at plus 200. So Oscar Piastri, the heavy favorite now to win on the Vegas line. And do you agree with the Vegas line, Cheese? Is Oscar Piastri now the heavy favorite to win this?
I would say yes. I think he showed the maturity, just being super patient to pass Max, which Lando can't pass Max. Like, Lando just can't figure it out to get by Max. Like, it takes... I mean, Lando finally got it done, but it takes him a long time. He's not as patient. Oscar just showed that patience. Sat behind him for a little bit, watched him, picked his spot, and took it. Lando just doesn't have that it factor to do it against Max. Oscar showing that he's kind of got that little bit of an it factor to go take it. Let's be honest too, the McLaren was another planet this weekend compared to everybody else. I mean, what were they running, like a second faster than the rest of the field when they got out to in first and second?
For the most part,
compared to everybody else, like during the race, like they were like a second faster than the rest of the field. I mean, outside of Lando, who finished, I think, 4 to 5 seconds, I think, behind Oscar. I think Russell was, like 35, 36 seconds? Or something around there behind Oscar. So it was like Max last year, just complete domination with the superior car. But Oscar's just showing the patience and the maturity and not making the mistake. Just bided his time, and when Max and Lando fought there and just took it and was gone. See you later.
Yeah, and the two things that impressed me the most about Oscar Piastri is A, what you just mentioned, when he took such advantage of the Max Lando battle to just take off, and before you knew it, he was 5 seconds up, and then 8 seconds up, and then gone, and just gone, and left Max and Lando to battle each other. And what was even more impressive is the lack of patience that Lando Norris showed, finally being able to pass Max. I mean, to give that spot back for an illegal pass. So you put it right there. Right there. Just the stark difference. We saw it right in this race of Lando versus Oscar. And we saw the patience of Oscar versus the impatience of Lando Norris, and obviously eventually Lando Norris finished second, after Max Verstappen's pit stop where he got passed, which that was not as close as I thought it would be with that Russell pass with Max coming out of the pit stop. I looked like it was going to be close, but it wasn't. George Russell just whizzes right by him.
It's just a rough break with the VFC.
And that's exactly what happened. And George Russell just passes him and ends up finishing third. That was all came down to that pit stop there. And congratulations to George Russell. Once again, another podium for George Russell. I'm sure we'll get to him a little bit later in winners and losers. But Oscar Piastri, man, 3 in a row.
Also would have dropped this in there too. If I'm not mistaken, say how far and away better the McLaren is compared to everybody else. I think they were the first team to finish 1-2 in a sprint and race in the same weekend. I mean, the sprint hasn't been around that long, but I think they finished 1-2 in both. So that's the first time that's happened. I mean, not even Red Bull did that. So maybe this is showing you what could have been if Sergio Perez was putting up performances with, drivers that should finish 1-2, since they had by far the best car. McLaren's going to run away with this. If, you're going to have this 1-2, but I think it's going to be Oscar's going to be the one that's going to be the one compared to Norris being the 2, because Oscar's just showing he's got that it factor and showing
he's got that it factor.
Maturity,
he's
showing the maturity. He's not making the mistakes.
I know we spoke a lot last year about Lando not having the it factor, but we didn't talk about Oscar having the it factor at all. At all. So I think this, for me, is a surprise. I know we have a lot of clapback, on there on YouTube and in general with some of the comments, how, other people are not surprised at all to see Oscar Piastri where they are. But I'm surprised to not see Lando. I think we were set up for the last 3-4 years to see Lando Norris become the next big thing. And that's what we were being sold. And maybe that was just a UK driver thing, or was that...
Yeah.
Like just the heritage of drivers from the UK versus the rest of the world? Or was that truly a situation where, we just underestimated Oscar Piastri, as did a lot of the F1 world? And for those of you who believed in Oscar Piastri, yes. And those of you who clapped back right at me and said, I believed in it, so that's awesome. That's awesome for you, and it's great. And I don't know. Go to Vegas, baby.
You gotta put your money on him earlier, I guess.
If you put your money down on Oscar Piastri in January, he was not negative 120 on the Vegas line, I'll tell you that much. But we'll get to a little bit betting a little bit later on. Anything else to wrap up for our top story of the day, sir?
Well, to be honest, the race kind of ended up a little boring to me. I think the Lego race before the race was actually kind of more exciting.
The Lego race before the race was fantastic. And if you have not checked that out, after you check out on YouTube our show and all the other stuff, and if you haven't subscribed, of course, and you go check that out, as soon as you're done with that, all the Green Eating the Cheese and then the Paddock F1's podcast stuff, go ahead and hit Lego Miami F1 and enjoy that ridiculousness if you haven't seen it already. Hopefully everyone has seen it. Which, of course, leads us, speaking of going around the track in ridiculous fashion, I strap on my helmet. I am ready for 3 questions. It is Quizmaster's Cockpit, as we do after every single race. We got 3 questions from either the race or, historically speaking, of the deep history of the Miami GP. Rich and illustrious history of the parking lot, which I've been to before. And it was ridiculously hot when the aforementioned Florida Marlins played there. I was at that dump. One of the only baseball dumps I was at without you, Cheese. But because we've been to plenty of baseball dumps around this country, so
yes, we have ones that have fully collapsed on themselves. So
that is true. That was a day.
But all right. It's now time for the Quizmaster's Cockpit. I got 3 questions. Are you ready, sir?
I am ready.
I think you should win this week, so keep your hot streak going here. Question number 1. When was the first Miami Grand Prix?
This was the 4th, 25, 24, 23, I guess 2022?
That is correct.
Bing. It's tough ones.
Yeah, I told you. Tough questions. Question number 2. Where else in Florida has F1 held a Grand Prix?
Where else in Florida has F1 held a Grand Prix?
Come on.
Why can't I think? Where else in Florida has F1 held
I
a
don't
Grand
know,
Prix?
probably because you're medicated.
Not that medicated. I can tell you everywhere in the country they've raced. Why can't I think of where else in Florida they've raced?
Come on,
Daytona?
it's a classic circuit.
Daytona?
No, that is incorrect. Wow, I am very disappointed. Sebring, sir.
Oh, it's like, gosh. I forgot that was in Florida.
These are cake eater questions.
Yeah.
Wow.
I drew a blank on that one. Which I would have got wrong if you told me a previous question you would ask many times, which was name every racetrack in the U.S. that has ever been raced at, which I usually get right. And then I forgot Sebring was in Florida. Why did I think it was somewhere else?
Oh, no. It's not even there's a, pretty, hefty race there each year, The Sebring is a pretty big race every year, but it's a pretty classic racetrack. I can't believe you got that one wrong. All right, well, let's see if you can round off and just get the third one right, even though you failed since you got a question wrong. And I actually wrote winners for next segment to start, too. So maybe
that was your fault, not mine.
Can you name the 3 drivers to have won the Miami Grand Prix?
Well, Max Verstappen won the first one, and I think the second one as well. Oscar won today. Was this Lando's first ever win? Was that Lando's first ever win last year?
That is correct.
That was his first ever win. Lando Norris's first win was last year in Miami, if I recall.
Yes.
So those are my
correct.
3.
That is correct, sir.
Man, so if it wasn't for Sebring,
you would have been a winner. That's why I said these are cupcake questions. You should definitely win this week, and you failed.
All right. Well, of course, since I didn't win, we go to your favorite category, and that's this week's losers.
As the creed a long time on this program, so I'll give it to Aston. I'll give it to Aston Martin. 15th and 16th. I mean, both cars couldn't get out of Q1. Either Lance Stroll's streak continues with that. Just staying back there, but just absolutely awful. I mean, the car is an absolute disaster. It's a mess. It's a mess. And then Ferrari. No pace, no performance. Hopefully going back to your home track at Imola for the next race in a few weeks. The upgrades that you're bringing, which is apparently going to be a bunch of upgrades because the car is just an actual piece of junk right now. Both drivers aren't happy. I don't know if you saw the post-race interviews with both drivers, but they are not happy campers. Neither of them. The car is just junk. A lot of work to do. And this is not what you expected being a Ferrari fan going into this season. I mean, they said they were going to have a good car, and it's absolute rubbish. Rubbish.
It's rubbish. And watching Kimi Antonelli outpace Lewis Hamilton every single week has got to be rough for Lewis, man. That's got to be an absolute nightmare. Listen, I know we had a puncture this week and took him out, but Jack Doohan's not very long for that seat, man. We're going to talk about it in a little bit and get back into that, but for sure, I know he's at the bottom of the pack here, but what a disaster that is. And I know he's been a loser so many times this season, but Liam Lawson, man, he's getting worse. He's getting worse. I'm watching the race with my son, who's 11, who just got into Formula One like this season, and a little bit slowly learning the terms and everything. So he's like a fledgling in the sport. And he looks at me and says, "Do you know what Liam Lawson's going to be doing next year during the Miami Grand Prix?" And I said, "I don't. What is he going to be doing next year during the Miami Grand Prix?" He says he's going to be at home making hot dogs. I'm like, all right.
Damn.
I was like, that's rough, kid. That's rough. But I think he might be right, because he just went from like a top flight seat to just in a couple of months being dead last. I didn't even see how he got pulled off, but I wasn't paying attention exactly when Liam Lawson ended up DNFing there. I don't know if it was mechanical.
He had a hole in his side pod.
But he was just terrible the whole race, even before any holes in his side pod.
That was a first lap racing incident. That's what that was. The collision between him and Dewey. That's just the first lap racing incident. Right out of the first corner. It happens, but
yeah, it happens every week to Liam Lawson. Something happens every week to Liam Lawson. Every week. And we're only 6 races in, but it feels like this guy has had like 3 seasons of Formula One in 6 races. Doesn't it feel like it? This guy's had like a career already in 6 races. Multiple teams, just like all kinds of issues. He's had a lifetime of shit go down in 6 races. He's just a straight loser, and he will never be a winner, not in Formula One. And he's just not. He's just not made for the sport, and that's just flat out the truth. And those are my losers, which will take us, of course, into winners. I will send it back your way for that one.
You mentioned in the opening segment there, George Russell, his 4th podium of the season. I think that's the same number of podiums I think he had all of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that also shows, how far the Mercedes came from where the Mercedes was last year compared to this year. So give it up to George. Just hanging back there, just throwing podiums up. Solid. And he might end up actually not being in that seat. So ain't that a B2 if things go down with Max Verstappen?
Mm-hmm.
Give it up to Williams. Double points, 5th and 9th. We've been waiting for this season. It was supposed to make a step. I mean, this could be a one-off since they haven't done it for the prior 5 races. But this is where Williams probably should have been from the start. So we'll see if they can keep that up. But a 5th and 9th, big double points. Big double points.
Big time double points for them. And, another double point situation, which should be happening all the time, but happens so rare these days.
And we trashed James Vowles a lot last year, too. We trashed him a lot on this show. And
he got it together.
He got it together. Yeah,
he got it together. He got it together. And, of all his background and just James Vowles' resume is going into last season was beautiful. He had a great resume with his entire look at his career, man. And then to have last season was just so disappointing. And we wanted to see so much more from James Vowles, and we didn't. And now we're finally seeing him get his feet wet. I mean, he's a younger guy. He's 42. Something like that, 41, 42. He's he's definitely younger, on the younger side of team principles. So give the guy a chance, and he's turning around, and he's got 2 very good drivers. Listen, Carlos Sainz definitely did not have a great weekend going into the race, for sure. Struggled, I think, all weekend, but put it together today and put up a good race on. Not starting in the top 10 and finishing in the top 10. So you got to always love that. And Alex Albon just had a complete race beginning to end, really didn't get past. You really thought there was definitely going to be situations where
solid top 5.
where either one of the Ferraris was going to pass him or Kimi Antonelli was going to pass him, and they couldn't. And so got to give it up to them. You still also got to give it up to Yuki Tsunoda. I mean, I don't care if it's a point or not point. Red Bull, it's rare to have double points. Look at the last couple seasons. I got to go back for the last 2 seasons. It's only been a handful of times for double points on race day for Red Bull, which is crazy. Because Max is pretty much in the points every single week. So the fact that we've had so rare, so you got to give it up to Yuki. I don't care if it's 1 point or no points. And this is going to be a little far-fetched for winners. Very disappointing. That power unit failure for Haas, especially with Ollie Bearman. But getting in the points in the sprint race, he looked good all week. I know he, again, started in the back of the pack. And he was hunting, man. I know he was in 12th when that power unit went out, but once again, starting in the back of the pack, he was hunting. And you took everyone else on the board there, so I really have no one else left, unless I'm going to give it to McLaren, who obviously we spoke about. But I'm going to give a little love to Ollie B. I don't care if he had a DNF there.
Give your winners to whoever you want.
The kids are looking good this year, man. They really are. And I could say something good about every single rookie. And having 6 rookies on the grid and being able to say something positive one time or another through 6 races about every single one of them is pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. Outside of Liam Lawson, who stinks. But everyone else, we have something good to say about him just about every week.
Jack Doohan's been a little bit of a struggle there.
Well, yeah, we definitely talked shit about him a little while ago. But, yeah, we got some some other teenagers are doing pretty damn well.
Yes. They're also better cars, too, but,
Well, you can only drive what you can drive.
That's right. Whoever gives you a gig, that's the gig you got.
Take what you can get.
You got to make do.
Unless you make poor decisions like Lewis Hamilton. But that will be for a more banter for another time. For now, what's most important, sir, is my favorite part of the week.
That was a fucking
I need to slap my goddamn for that. I need to slap my goddamn for that.
Somebody's getting slapped. Somebody's slapping themselves.
This is special this week, boys and girls. It is special.
It's a special slap again.
Is this week's slap?
It needs a song.
It needs a
we
song.
need a Captain Safety song. I don't think I'm legally allowed to use the safety dance. I will be calling the agent of Men in Hats. If anyone from the Men in Hats family is listening to the program, I would love to use the safety dance song for this segment. Because it is rare. It's rarer than it used to be. I think every 2 or 3 weeks we used to talk about safety issues, but we're seeing it again. Multiple unsafe releases in both the sprint race where we had that situation where Kimi Antonelli was pulling in and Max Verstappen was coming out. His front wing gets knocked off. You have Kimi Antonelli's not able to pit, which a brilliant move by Kimi Antonelli, by the way. A brilliant move because he could have went in and pitted. And he could have killed somebody if he was going in or tried to pit and shifted his wheel and spun out. He could have definitely spun out into mechanics because it happened so quickly and you're not expecting it because you're expecting to have a clear lane in the pit lane to drive through into your spot for the tire change. So we saw that incident happen. We saw a situation where a Ferrari mechanic almost got hit on another unsafe release. And it was multiple unsafe releases, people almost getting really hurt, if not worse, in the pit. And we are going to have a situation. We've now seen it in multiple different arenas with Bahrain and Miami. And first of all, Bahrain, there's no excuse in Bahrain. That track's just set up 24/7 for racing. There should be no excuse in Bahrain for any mechanical issues. Miami, I get, but if you're going to have a race where you kind of just throw everything together in a parking lot, there's so many mechanical, minute things that can get someone killed. When you're going over 200 miles an hour, when these cars are coming in and out of the pit so quickly, when every fraction of a second counts, no offense to NASCAR or any of the other, these pit stops are not 20 seconds. They're not 30-second pit stops. It's 2 seconds. They're in, they're out. And if everything's not working in harmonious, complete communication, with their green lights and red lights working, with release times working, with release points working, someone's going to get killed or seriously hurt out there. And we saw it multiple times almost happening this weekend. So those of us who think Miami's a great track, all these tracks where you're just throwing shit together and putting them out there in parking lots, and you're not taking these minute safety precautions. And I'm sure we're going to find out exactly what happened. You might know exactly what happened. I don't know exactly what happened, what caused that situation. But I'm sure we'll find out soon. But whatever happened is completely unacceptable, and someone's going to get killed out there. And that's all I got to say. Besides, I need a goddamn Captain Safety song. What were you going to say, sir?
Well, the pit building, or the paddock at Miami, is a permanent building. That's not built every year, just like Vegas. Like the pit area, the pit building, where all that goes down, that's a permanent building. That's there all year. So there should be no issues going on with anything there.
There should be absolutely no issues going on. You slap yourself even harder. Slap yourself with a little more oomph there.
Get some sand. Go 16 miles, get some sand at the beach, and bring it back.
Go to the beach and get some sand. That's for damn sure. I did not know there was a permanent paddock, so thank you for making that correction, sir. I thought it was a temporary paddock.
No, they're permanent.
All right.
There's a permanent.
Congratulations. Congratulations. All right. What else we got next, sir? Oh, of course. There's only one thing to have next.
Oh, yes. You know what that sound means? The best damn sound of the week. And take that fantasy ride to the fantasy island of Grito. Where the beer flows like wine, the wine flows like beer. And the cannabis, oh yes, grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it. Lean and luscious. Take a little whiff. Oh, that air smells fantastic. Take a little walk to the top of the hill. The casino at the top. Tickets in hand. Are we cashing in or are we checking out?
I thought I was going to take it downtown
really
this week.
Fantastic this time. It's been a while. That was a really good fantastic.
That was a fantastic. All right, bringing up our betting lines over here. I'll go with you first. Oscar Piastri with the win saved your butt. That's for sure. Plus
Damn
285.
right.
That was a big number for Oscar Piastri this week with a plus 285. We both took that one because that's almost like, giving away free money there. You also took Max for the win plus 135, which did not happen. He finished fourth. And the Ferarri double top six, which definitely ruined the rest of your weekend. But you ended up with plus 45 greeny bucks. So you didn't lose anything this week. That Oscar Piastri saved you. You could have made a lot more with a decent Ferrari weekend. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I made a whole bunch of bets. I took Piastri for the win. I also took Ferrari double top six as well. I had a little more faith in them that I probably should have. That was just a dumb move. I picked Racing Bull double top 10, but it was plus 700. So, they looked good. They looked good in the sprint race. But, Liam Lawson just stinks. I know the side pod incident. I don't care. He stinks. And then I took the trifecta of the box trifecta of Verstappen, Piastri, and Norris. Of course, Verstappen fell off there on that pit stop, and George Russell took third. Verstappen took fourth, so we lost that one. Piastri fastest lap wins the race without the fastest lap. That goes to Lando Norris, so he lost out on that one. So I only won one of my bets. Minus 200, so I lost what you won. So you were plus 45, and I was minus 45. So that's the antithesis of what you did. So you're up a little, so you gained 90 greeny bucks on me. Not bad, as I continue my slide towards brokehood. I got to start selling shit, dude. I got to start, I got some watches.
We're both
Facebook Marketplace. You want to buy some watches?
We're both not off to a good start.
Not off to a good start, but at least you're the positive this week.
That's why I actually, wasn't going crazy because there was also, the threat of the monsoon hitting as well. So that would have just thrown everything to God knows what. So especially how slick that track was this week.
Yeah, I made that mistake
Um,
before.
so I wasn't very confident. Just made a couple. Tried to keep it on the down low. Also, the streak hasn't been so good recently, so it's time for you to pull the reins back.
Yeah, one with those 3 bets, but whatever works, man. Whatever works. All right. So before we get to where we're going next, we have, of course, one of our favorite segments of the week, letting you know what's up and when. And it is, of course, time for In the News. In the news. What do we got, sir?
Yes, we actually have a bunch.
Let's get to it.
Some fun ones too. A little fun one in there as well. I think I'll move that to a little bit later. Let's see what order we're gonna go in here. Sort of an easy one. We'll throw it in there too. Congratulations to Max Verstappen becoming a dad. How about that? He's been a stepdad, but now we can actually say he's a dad. So, congratulations to him and his wife. Cadillac held an event in Miami, revealed the team logo. Maybe a possibility of a little bit of the livery, maybe a little chrome action going on. We'll see. A little exciting. It's becoming a real deal now.
It is becoming a real deal. And listen, congratulations as well to Kelly PK. And of course, that is some F1 royalty right now, born out of the Max Verstappen lineage there, with a PK and a Verstappen getting together and having a kid. The pressure on from like day 2 of this child's birth to get into a kart? Like, is this kid already being fitted? Because there's no way this kid is not going. I don't even know if they had a boy or a girl, to be honest. Whatever it is.
It was a girl.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This is F1 royalty from birth. You don't get born to a Verstappen and a PK, okay? I apologize.
Hey, I'm not gonna go against that. Those are facts.
Facts, Jack.
Any thoughts on the Cadillac though, as well?
It's coming real. It's been real. It's starting to sink in. I think just the excitement of having 11 teams on track. I would love to see, like I've said many times before, I'd love to see them go back to the old school way, having, like 12 teams on there and then having the pre-qualifying or just having that updated Q1 where, you don't finish in the top 20 and you ain't racing. And that's it. You have its best 20 and you have 24 cars and 20 spots on track on race day. I love that idea. And I love the way they used to do that. And I'd love to see that again, but that probably ain't happening.
That's probably not happening. If you're in the race, if you're in Formula One, you're going to be in the race because it's money, baby. Money. A lot more money than it used to be. So
that's for damn sure.
That's for goddamn sure. So yes, but it's becoming real. It's becoming real. It's exciting. This one you're going to like. Red Bull have been using thermal cameras during pit stops to try and understand how McLaren are managing their tire temperatures. What's your thoughts on that? That's some high-tech madness right there. That's some spy stuff right there. We get the satellite coming down, too.
Somebody get Q on the phone. Like, this is like some James Bond stuff going down. It's really, what a way to cheat. I don't know if that's cheating. It seems like a gray area to me. That's just straight up cheating. That's like the Spygate, and those of you who don't know, like the Spygate stories where like they would put, in the NFL, teams would come in and put a secret video camera on the other team's practice to be able to watch their practice. their closed practices, and now then you had people like going to the stands looking for secret cameras and stuff. You had this going all the way back to the 1950s, where in baseball out here in New York City, you had in Ebbets Field, you had someone in the outfield with a telescope looking at stealing signs from like the roof on the outfield. So listen, teams have always found new and creative ways to take advantage. This is a new one to me. The thermal, that's a whole new one. That's a whole next level. But every single one of these has been next level every time they've happened. So teams are always going to find ways to cheat. It's just always been the way it's been, to take that slight advantage. And you know, you don't ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness. And that's what they're going to do here.
That's Formula One, baby. If you can try and figure out what the other guy is doing, besides, you know, stealing plans. I mean, why do you think sometimes these guys are, you know, people are stealing staff from the team at the top? They want to try and get some of that inside information. I mean, it goes through any industry that's going down. But any advantage you could try and get, or to find out what your competitor's doing that they think is doing better than you. That's kind of what Formula One's about, to be honest. I mean, that's kind of what Formula One's about. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. It's some spy junk, but I think it's goddamn funny. But you got to do what you got to do. Try and find out what the other guy's doing. I mean, if you think thermal camera is going to help you out, you do it.
Take every advantage you can. And they did. And they're taking advantage of it until you're told to stop. Like I said, you don't ask for permission. You ask for forgiveness. And as Ron Dennis once said, welcome to the Parada Club.
Hey, that's right. Our next story. Rumor has it possibly Doohan might lose his seat for the next race in Imola, as Colapinto's possibly to take over. What's your thoughts on that? Pulling the plug after 6 races.
I think I spoiled that after in losers there, and you know it's amazing because I think last year, if you listen to our preseason show last year before the season began, we had a long discussion on how historically drivers don't get replaced mid-season in Formula One, and now we're seeing like just every couple of weeks, it's just you're done. Next up. You stink. Next up. And I don't know if you're giving drivers a disadvantage, or if you look at the likes of Oscar Piastri, and if you look at the likes of Kimi Antonelli, if you look at the likes of Ali Bearman, who are performing at a young age and came into the sport performing immediately, you have to think that I want the next Kimi Antonelli right now. I want the next young guy to come in and immediately be able to drive. And I think Kimi Antonelli specifically is kind of ruining it for all the kids out there that are not coming in. Every Jack Doohan that's coming in, especially Ali Bearman, who's just kind of embarrassing these other kids because he's driving a mediocre car and scoring points and driving well. And I think teams are looking at it like, if I took Ali Bearman, would we be better? And versus a Jack Doohan, and who's the next guy coming up? And I want him before Haas takes him, or before Ferrari takes him. Ferrari's going to have to make a replacement, you know, for Lewis Hamilton. And if not next year, then the year after. And Aston Martin probably wants the next great young driver first, or you know, specifically Alpine or someone like that wants to replace their driver as soon as possible with someone young and good, because they're performing and it's pretty awesome to see. But that leash, man, it's done. You better show up day one to the track, wherever old you are, and you better perform. There is no time. The time to learn is an F2, not an F1.
Yeah, you got to put up or shut up. You want to be one of the 20 of the most elite seats in racing. You better bring it. Can't make dumb mistakes. Can't crash the car. I mean, just you can't do it. Especially
Well,
when
unless
you're
you're
on the
Lance
hot
Stroll, and you could do whatever the hell you want.
Well, that's
But
another
speaking of
story.
which, the number one all-time YouTube short last week of all time for us was last week's Lance Stroll kind of taking a knock at his 24.8% getting outdriven in qualifying statistic. Wonderful statistic for him, but I digress. Continue, sir. What else you got?
Final story. We'll end on a funny one here. What's your thoughts on Lando's disco ball helmet?
I know, like, people were making fun of it online. It didn't disco the way people thought it would disco because you couldn't have that. You couldn't have, like, light shining off your head in the Florida sun. You're going to blind somebody. So, like, obviously, it wasn't a disco ball, okay? Like, it looked like a disco ball. It was shaped like a disco ball, but it wasn't a disco ball because then you're going to kill somebody. Number two, who the hell wears a disco ball on their head? Like, you don't wear a disco ball on your head. It's like some weird hippie astronaut or something. The hell are you doing? Listen, the 1980s called. They want their helmet back, okay? You missed the mark, pal. Agree or disagree? You're done.
Agreed.
All right, it's been a long show and a long day, and it's a late night here. We get a week off, sir, so we'll be seeing everyone next week. I'm sure maybe the next Saturday or Sunday we'll be putting out a in the news update on all this stuff. Disco ball helmets and all. We got 2 weeks to the next race. Where are we going next, sir?
Oh, one of my favorites.
One of your all-timers.
One of my all-time favorites. We're going to Imola, baby. Love it. Love it. Triple header, too. Triple header right after, so it's going to be fun. Back to Europe.
Yeah, we got some classics. Boom, boom, boom. We have Imola, Monaco, and the Spanish Grand Prix, the Circuit de Barcelona, for the last couple seasons there with that. So we'll be seeing everyone next week for an In the News update, and of course in 2 weeks for the race. Say what you got to say, brother.
Oh, as always, we'll see you next week. And as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.